So anyway, I mean, let's get started here. So I mean, just kind of like let's break it down. Tell me
Yeah,
a little bit about, where you currently are, like, the oil and gas industry, as you mentioned, and kind of like why trading is interesting to you, why you're interested in following that path.
gotcha. So essentially, I feel like, everybody kind of needs, some way to make money, right? I mean, obviously, that's obvious, right? We all need something that is stable for us. The older we get, the more responsibilities we get, the more bills, the more things we got to end up paying for, right? So you need a source of income, and naturally, everybody gravitates towards like a 9 to 5 or something like that, right? Just because it's the most clearly stable. So, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at right now, and it gets to a point because you're like everybody goes through that realization like I can't do this forever. You know what I mean? It becomes a slavery thing, and that's just the honest truth about it. And I think it's very healthy to expand your mind and be creative with what you want to see as far as your goals and where you want to end up in life. It's all about your mental frame, because I mean if you just believe you're going to be stuck in a box forever, you're not going to really excel in a different area, you know what I mean? So that's kind of why trading was appealing to me, especially just because my dad has been a trader for a while as well. He does more of swing trades and stuff, but he's always kind of just picked my brain a little bit about it. He's like, hey, trading this and that, but I'd never really gave it the time of day. So I'm kind of doing that now. And ever since I really dove into it, it's been great. Just a learning experience and seeing the potential is amazing.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously a 9 to 5 is stable, right? It gives you
Yep,
consistent results. You have your set salary. If you work the certain hours, it's like almost a guaranteed income. But trading is the very opposite of that. I mean, like regardless of how much time you put in, you can put in all the time of the day into it and still be losing money, right? Instead of making money.
exactly.
So do you think that you have to be predisposed to enjoying the risk, or at least like being able to naturally handle that risk? Or is that something that you can kind of learn? Because like, a lot of people will know that they want to make a lot of money, and they'll know that there's that limit, that they have that ceiling with their 9 to 5, and then they see people trade, but then they get into it and it's like all that risk, they're just overwhelmed by it. Like, what's your way of dealing with that risk?
Man, I mean, my way right now, I'm still learning and stuff. So I mean, I'm hitting the same obstacles that everybody else hits when they start learning. But it's it's honestly, it's all about the mindset. Like that's the thing. I originally thought it was all just about the numbers on the screen and making the correct moves, but 80% of the work really does come from your head. And as far as just putting limits on yourself and knowing what to do and what not to do, obviously, right? Because trading is the only thing where you have 100% of the freedom, you know what I'm saying? But that comes at a cost that no one else is there to hold you accountable for your bad mistakes, only you, right? So then it gets easy to get stuck in a negative feedback loop with that, which is why it's most successful traders you see, they have to at least incorporate some disciplined habits, you know what I mean? Because if you don't, then your mental is just screwed, and then you're going to end up continually making bad ones when the psychology aspect is extremely important. Otherwise, you're going to end up over leveraging, over risking. I've been there. I'm recently working on that myself, but it's everybody has the time to get past that. You just have to really dig deep and be real about it with yourself, because that's the scary part, is that like there's no boss, you know what I mean? There's no boss to tell me I'm doing these things and I'm like, shit, I got to figure it out or I'm going to get fired. It's all me. So
Hmm.
realistically, I could be trapped in the same spot for 5 years, like a lot of people do, or I could be trapped in this spot for 1 year. It's just a matter. It's up to me.
Yeah, yeah. What I spoke with Bully recently, and he told
Mhm.
me something very, very wise. He said that trading is a very lonely game. He said
Exactly.
it's quite lonely, and he was talking about why having a community behind you is so important, because you can have a losing streak. Nobody's entirely protected from a losing streak, and if you don't have that community behind you, you're more likely to just give up entirely. But if you have people backing you, I mean, it's much easier that way, and you're able to stay more consistent. Now, what was appealing about Aurora? Because, like, dude, you are probably the fastest, growing and the fastest learning member in our community. I gotta say,
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't seen somebody just pick up on things that quick as you do. Like, you're just eager to learn. Like, if there's an opportunity to learn, like, you best bet Rasa's on it. You know what I mean? It's like
Dude,
something new
seriously,
drops.
man.
It's like Rasa's definitely seen that already. He's mastered it, as a matter of fact. So, what was appealing to you about Aurora, and like, why was Aurora kind of the project that you decided to devote to and not like, something else. There's fucking thousands out there. Why was
Mm.
Aurora the one for you?
I'm not gonna lie, I think it was also kind of like a perfect timing thing, just because,
Yeah.
a lot of people found Ivan through TikTok.
Mm,
So I found him on TikTok as well, and he was the only one that was kind of really really going at it. Like a lot of the other traders, they're just kind of, yeah, I'm going in this position now, I'm doing this. And Ivan was very thorough with his thought process and his breakdown, and as far as talking about his trading experience and stuff, so that stuck out to me. I saw this as, okay, this, I believe this is a community I want to be a part of. So I just kind of jumped straight in, and where I see opportunity to grow, I'm gonna jump on it immediately. But as far as me individually growing and wanting to learn and all that stuff, that just comes with self-awareness. I'm a very self-aware individual. You got to be real with yourself at all times. I make sure to be extremely authentic whenever I can, because I mean, there's already enough fake going on in the world. You know what I mean? I just hope to always be somebody that people could come to or look to. Like, this guy's real. He's always going to keep it real with me. So I apply that to myself at all times. Just keep it real, and good things will come, because as long as you're real with yourself, the everything you do is just going to reap positive results. Because you got to look at things from a positive mindset and self-awareness. Those tied together, I feel like they can get you through anything.
mm,
Um, Especially me being self-aware. I'm 24, so I work the full-time job and stuff, and I've been doing that for about since I was 16, when I first had my first job. And now I'm like, okay, getting close to mid 20s, you start becoming even more aware, because now
yeah.
your brain is solidifying, right? Because your brain is almost like stopping growing, essentially. So you begin to think about what you want, and weigh the pros and the cons of everything, and what's important, what isn't. And I feel like everybody needs to get to that point, no matter what it is. Some people need to go through a lot of BS in order to get to that point, which is what I went through about 2 years ago. Like a pretty significant event in your life, that kind of makes you think about everything. Put all your cards on the table. Think about, what do you really want in this moment? What do you want going forward? Because now you're a grown adult with a bunch of responsibilities, and there's no more time in the day. You know what I'm saying? You still only
Yeah.
got 24 hours, just like the next guy. So pretty much, it's just a matter of filtering out what matters, what doesn't. And even if you still have difficulty with having bad habits and stuff, because we're all human, it's gonna happen. Just not scolding yourself for all of that, and making sure what's important stays a priority. And for me, that became trading, just because I've always wanted the freedom. I've always thought about it. But, growing up, we go about our lives on autopilot, and we naturally think, oh, our goals and our dreams are just going to fall in our lap, right? It's not like that. It's just not how it happens, right? Realistically, obviously. So it's just a matter of time when you really decide that you want something, and you put your foot down, and you're like, all right, I'm gonna give my life to this. I'm gonna devote myself to this. It's either I'm gonna make it, or that's a wrap, or I'm dead, essentially. Like, if you give something your entire all, and you genuinely believe that you can make it in that thing, I believe you can do it, right? I mean, that's been said a lot, but I've told this thought process to a couple people already, just that we're looking for some kind words. But what I like to remember all the time, whenever I'm feeling down or in a negative headspace, is I remind myself that that successful trader, that profitable trader, that trader that has all the freedom, that that trader that that would essentially be me, that person is out there already, right? Let's say I got all the habits, all the discipline, all of the health, the wealth, the fitness, the good headspace. I've got all my stats at a good level, all that type of stuff. He already exists, right? He's already real. He exists within this reality. Now it's just a matter of how long I choose before I want to meet him, essentially, before
Mm,
I become him and evolve into that person. So as long as you look at things from that frame, it kind of keeps you grounded, and it's like, okay, this isn't just a pipe dream. This is something that's real. And if it wasn't, then we wouldn't have smaller traders, pretty free with this. Not every big trader's got the Lambos and all that stuff, and the 500,000 followers. Trading, you could really just, as long as you're real about it, realistic, and you take the time with it, that I'm still trying to learn, right? Because I'm, like you said, I jump on it immediately, because in a sense I want to rush the process, but I want to do it right. You know what I'm saying? I try to down as much information as I can, because I know that I can process quickly once I understand. So just the process of understanding it is just something that we have to take our time with and be welcome to the journey and the understanding of the process itself, because the more patient you are with it, the easier it's going to come and the more efficiently you'll use your time to improving in something such as trading.
I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying the spiritual take you have on it, bro. And I particularly liked what you said about the cards and the fact that we're
Yep.
all kind of dealt the same cards. You know what I mean? Because if you even take the most high ticket individuals, you can take Jeff Bezos, Musk, whatever the case may be. They are just as human as you. They have two arms, two legs. They have a brain.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And there has to be something that distinguishes you and them. And at the end of the day, I mean, they might have a little bit more of that gray matter in your brain, than you do. But at the same time, like if you're consistent and if you persist on achieving something, like at the end of the day, you will achieve it. And especially the fact that we're all younger adults, you know what I mean? We're all kind of at the start of our journey, and it's very hard, to remember the fact that we're like still pretty young. Most of us, of course, we
Yeah.
have like 30 plus 40-year-old members in the community, but the majority of us, we're younger. And if we start today and we're consistent, it's inevitable that we're going to succeed. You know what I mean? That's kind of like what my entire business strategy is. I have three projects currently running, including Avrora, and every single one is only, bound for success because of consistency. Like you're going to
Mm.
have bad days, you're going to have good days, you're going to have mediocre days where it's just like, I'm not sure if I want to keep doing this, but like it takes pushing through that and it takes consistency regardless of the current situation. Like you have to see the bigger picture, right? Same thing with trading. If you focus on a singular day and you took a loss, like yeah, shit's fucking red in your head, of course. Like you're gonna
Hmm.
feel down. But if you zoom out a little bit and you're consistent for a month and you zoom out and you look at that 1 month time frame, like maybe things are not so bad anymore, right? And especially as you go with time, you're gaining more knowledge, you're gathering all that. But as long as you're not locking yourself with the gates of that 9 to 5, I feel like that's really where the key is. You know what I mean? Because you as
Yep.
a human being are not designed to be locked into the same framework of whatever the task may be that you do on a day to day for the rest of your life. Like you're just not designed to do that. We seek difference in our day to day. Like, of course, routine is necessary, but I don't think that going to the same job, doing the same thing for like 25 years of your life is where it's at. And trading does give you that freedom that you really like need.
Mm.
Yeah.
Seriously.
So, I mean, to you, what's the most attractive thing about trading? Like why trading? Why not like e-commerce or I don't know, like drop shipping or whatever the case may be?
Because I feel like while I do feel like those things work, they're not bad at all. They definitely do work. I just feel like the what's it called? The kind of gate to get into trading is a lot more forgiving than it is for something like drop shipping. Because I kind of dabbled in that a little bit not too long ago, and it's if you don't have the right tools, man, it's very hard to figure out because there's no one telling you what right from wrong. You know what I mean? And it's very tough because you're creating a product for a consumer. You know what I mean? So that's a whole different outline already compared to something like trading, or not even not creating, but you know what I mean when about the drop shipping thing. Um,
So,
but
do you think that it takes like that entrepreneurial personality trait to be successful at trading?
not trading, the drop shipping, yes, but trading, I feel like you just have to be. It's about being a well crafted human being. Period. At least in that aspect, because I feel like the ideal trader, you're not just a god at trading, and then all the other habits that you have in your life are trashed. You know what I'm saying? To be good at trading, that means to be good in other things in life as well, right? That means I believe that means heavy on discipline. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That means like I mean they show up for the market every single day at the same time, right? That's discipline enough. You don't have to do that. The market's open several hours every day, but most of us like to show up for New York session, right? So
Mm.
that's discipline in itself. And then that kind of translates over because once you're done trading, then you map out everything you're able to do with the rest of your day, right? Which you're not available to do if you work a 9 to 5 because that takes up 8+ hours of your life on the daily, right? So I feel like the freedom that comes with trading, it makes you excited to want to do things in your life and improve the correct way.
What is the most efficient way to learn new trading concepts for you? Like, what do you enjoy the most about learning, about studying, about, figuring out new things within trading?
Honestly, just seeing it play out in real time. Like if you look at a strategy or you see like how things line up on the charts themselves, just actually watching it happen on the chart too, it's like a kind of like a relief thing. Like, oh, okay, it's good to know that what I studied like is valid because I just witnessed it happen in real time. That's kind of how I feel like you kind of get those bits and pieces of, okay, this is working. This is something that is actually valid based on what you're learning and the information provided to you. Continue on the path, right? I feel like you get those little breadcrumbs or throughout the learning, the trading journey when you're learning, and they're just little signs like, hey, this works. You see it right here on the screen. This plays out on a consistent time period. You just gotta make sure you continue to analyze and grab your data and just keep pushing and you'll see it again and again and again. The more of those that you build up, the more of the little breadcrumbs you make a big pie with that for an example, right? And once you have that and you solidify that, you essentially that's all you look for because you've seen it so many times, right?
So do you think that like those breadcrumbs, like there's an end to them? Like there's like a shape of a pie that you can build, or can you just keep building and building? Because like I think for new traders, the most overwhelming thing is like the fact that, there's so many different concepts. There's so many different strategies that you can use. Like, for example, we use the inverse fair value gap strategy, right?
Hmm.
And somebody else uses like, I don't know, the Fibonacci, right? And it's like, what do I learn? Like, which one do I want to stick with? So in your subjective experience, do you think that you should stick to one, or you should learn them all and like figure out them all and find whichever one works for you? Or like, what would you advise a new trader?
So everybody's understanding and thought process is different, right? Everybody digests information at different levels. We have some people in the Discord that they need a little bit more of hands-on. Have some people in the Discord that understand things 10 times faster than I do. And that's totally okay because everybody operates at different levels, right? And I just believe it comes down to finding what works for you in the end, right? Just put yourself somewhere for X amount of time. You could lay out how long of a time frame you want that to be, and just apply yourself to the best of your ability. You know what I mean? And if it doesn't work out for you in a couple of months, but you gave it the best that you absolutely could, but you didn't see the results you wanted and you couldn't quite wrap your head around it, maybe it's not a bad idea to move on to a different strategy to attempt to learn, or maybe drop a couple confluences from what you were trying to learn. Maybe it's too much or it's overloading yourself. You know what I mean? You got to take things, maybe X a bunch of those out and just start piece by piece by piece, even smaller. The forgiving thing about trading is that it's all minute. It's like you level as fast as you want to level. There's no rush, right? Even though we're all dealing with the fact that we want to rush so bad, but the concept of trading in itself just screams at you there is no rush, right? The markets are always going to be there. There's 7,000 tools available to you in the market to use and dissect to how you want in order to keep pushing to that next level. But that's the thing, they're never going to go anywhere. But we're also fixated on the money and the outcome that we don't just dial in on the process and take a deep breath, right? Because the more relaxed you go about the process, the faster you're going to get to your result, right? Because think about that person who's always on it, who's always got that success. How do they always seem, right? Nonchalant. It's like, oh, this guy's emotionless. Oh, this guy just goes about everything he does in his life with no emotion, this and that. He's not. He has that emotion still, but it's about harnessing it and using it to your advantage.
This book I read in the past called The Reality Transurfing by a Russian nuclear physicist named Vadim Zeland. Actually, me and Carter spoke about the book. I believe he started reading it. I'm not sure if he finished, but the book talked about this concept of balanced forces, and it's very similar to what you're talking about. Like, regardless of how you put it into the universe, the whole book essentially focused on attributing importance to whatever it may be, whether it's trading or your 9 to 5 or your family. And it said that the more importance you devote to a certain piece of your life, the more likely it is to be disrupted, the more likely the balance forces within it are to be disrupted. So, for example, if you see somebody succeeding in trading and you decide to follow them and you decide to, follow their journey, see what they're doing, try it for yourself maybe, and say you buy a funded account and you win a play, right? You follow their alerts, you win a play. And now all of a sudden it's like the most important thing in your life because your 9 to 5, like, yeah, it pays you money, but there's nowhere near as much opportunity as there is in trading. And
Yep.
your family, like, yeah, but they will benefit from the fact that you're making money on that funded account. So now all of a sudden becomes the most important thing. And de facto right there, because you're so excited about it, because you're so into it, your balance forces are disrupted. So say there's a balance of positive and negative, the positive just spikes right up. And what happens is the negative needs to balance out that positive. So the negative drops back down, right? And that's kind of how the book described it, is that the second you attribute so much happiness towards something, there has to be like an equilibrium. There has to be some type of a balance where the negative will now drop, and like say you will lose the account right
Right.
after, right? Just because you got so excited, and you'll pull some stupid shit just naturally and lose that. So what you're saying about being like nonchalant about something, I think that's where success really lies, because whether you witnessed murder or just won a lottery, as long as you're able to remain at that same line, at that same level of balance, like your life will just kind of propel you forwards right then and there. You will succeed at whatever you do just because you're not attributing importance to something. I remember when I was reading that book, I was like in this headspace where I felt like death could come upon me and I would just be the same about it. I would just be entirely like unaffected by it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it was like the coolest I've ever felt. I felt like I could manifest anything and it would come into reality. Honestly, the best book I've ever read by far. It's a tough read, but if you can fucking do it, you should definitely do it. But listen, Angel, so you could do all of this on your own, right? There's like YouTube. You can watch
Yep.
anything on YouTube. You can learn anything on YouTube. Um, why like be a part of a community, and especially like pay money for a community? I mean, like if all of that is available for free, and like at Aurora, we make it like we make you aware that you can learn all of this for free. Like we're not gatekeeping anything. You can go and learn that strategy. You can watch a few videos on it. Like, why do you think people join these communities, and why do you think people pay for communities? Like, why not just do it on your own for free?
Right. Well, I feel like there's a lot of people that are similar to me. I've spoken to a few in the Discord, and that's that we grow faster when we're in an environment full of like-minded individuals, you know what I mean? I don't have to constantly be engaging with everybody, but just being in that area, being in the environment where all these other people are talking about the same thing. You see them on their best behavior, trying to improve, asking questions, doing this and that. You look around, you're like, damn, this is where I want to be. This is a good place to grow because while you might not be immediately processing everything that's going on around you, like consciously, the brain will process, you know what I mean? It's like when you join the live calls, for example, in the beginning when I first started joining the live calls and listening to Ivan talk about all this stuff, 80% of it was foreign, man. Like hearing all of those words, the fair value gaps, this, that, and the third, I'm like, okay, like I don't get it, but I'm driving to work and I got the video playing in the background, you know what I mean? Or not the video, the stream. So I'm listening to him talk about it, and naturally, when Ivan's on it, he's on it, you know what I mean? He's spitting like, hey, we got this going on, we got this, we were looking for this. So the live streams are very informative, and he's going through all of that pretty quick. And while I don't understand it and I'm not consciously focused on it because I don't get it, my brain doesn't get it, after a period of time, you begin to pick up that knowledge, right? Because the subconscious brain will hold on to it because it's always there, right? So eventually, you'll either look into it or you'll just get it after just hearing it talked about enough times because maybe he'll even give you the definition of something or he'll give you a clear example and you'll just hear it because there's a lot of people in the community that are asking the same questions, right? So maybe he's answering the same thing a couple times, and you'll pick up on that. And just being in the environment in general, that's what I'm saying. All the information just leaks into you at a certain point, right? No matter what, you could just be there and not even paying attention, like I would do sometimes, having to drive to work, dealing with the hours and all that stuff, and just I'll get to work and I'll be like, huh, I remember him saying this and that and this and that, and I'm gonna write those down and go look into it later. But the most important thing I feel like that there's some people have trouble with in the Discord is just like you have to have the want and the initiative to grow on your own. You know what I mean? Because
Hmm.
I have had a couple issues sometimes too where um I'm already talking to like a friend or something and he'll have the same issue like in the Discord, right? So we'll be establishing our own daily bias and stuff, and then we'll go ahead and jump in the call with Ivan, and we'll hear what he's talking about, and because his bias doesn't align with ours, we ditch ours and we jump on his, you know what I mean? And I feel like that's not a good habit to do, because especially when it doesn't work out in your favor, then you're like, damn, I should have stuck to it. So I would just like to advise to everybody that is like doing this to remember that this is for you. You know what I mean? This is your journey. You're growing. The Aurora is like a tool in your back pocket. It should be your main tool in your back pocket. We got your community, your ground zero videos. We give you the tools, but it's up to you to take them and grow on, do it how you want to do it growing. But it's not meant to be piggybacking. You don't have to abandon your own thoughts just because an experienced trader of 10 years is telling you this and that. You know what I mean?
The experience, the best kind of experience comes from, getting your own cuts. You can watch
Exactly.
somebody, you can watch somebody nick themselves with a knife 10 times, and until you do it yourself, you really won't internalize it. You know what I
Yep.
mean? So really taking your own initiative and going out on your own and doing it is where the learning is, where that learning curve really starts to bend. You know what I mean?
For real.
And what you said about like having that environment, I remember my mom always used to tell me when I was growing up that like your friends define you, right?
Hmm.
And I never believed it until like I got a little bit older and I really like witnessed it with myself and looked back on my life and kind of noticed that like depending on the group of people that I was friends with, my life and my priorities in my life were entirely different, right? So if I was friends with people who were partying, all I thought about was like partying and girls and booze and like just having fun, releasing that fucking dopamine into the world. But when I was friends with people who were entrepreneurial and kind of my circle now, people who are interested in growing and interested in, kind of your peak human performance in this world and doing as much as you can, like those are my interests just kind of de
Hmm.
facto because you need friends, I think, at least to some extent, whether they're in real life, like physical or on the internet or whatever. You need some type of a community to foster you just primally. That's kind of what we're designed for. We need confirmation. Like if you're alone for too long, you will get into your own head. I used to think that like you can live on I could live on a deserted island and like just do just fine. But then after living on my own for a little bit, I realized that like, dude, you need that confirmation from other people because your own time is really when you kind of work on yourself and improve yourself, but you improve yourself for those interactions with other people. So really you can be better with other people. That's kind of like naturally the process that occurs, at least in my mind. But I think that's the
Yep.
experience of most people. But, like you said, the environment is crucial. And if you can surround yourself with those people who are interested in, succeeding and kind of becoming better on their own, then you will also become better on your own.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, do you think that trading is a short-term answer or is it a long-term project?
For me or just in general?
Let's do for you. Yeah.
Well, for me, it's long term. I mean, I don't see why anyone else wouldn't want it to be long term. But then again, that's the good thing about it. It's your goals. You know what I mean? It's up to how long you want it to go for. But it's definitely long term. My goal is to, be profitable before 30, and I think that's pretty realistic and forgiving considering I'm 24. So I it's definitely long term in just the fact of you wanna have it all tied down correct, do it the correct way. I feel like that's the biggest thing. I've had a couple people really hammer that into my head lately that it's not about how fast you do it or you even making it in the first place. It's about doing it the correct way with the lowest risk, right? Because the whole point is we want to ride it for the long term. We want to run this marathon until the wheels fall off, right? And we never want the wheels to fall off, right? So with that being said, it's just piece by piece by piece by piece. And you stack those up over a year to 3 years, you could be a monster. You know what I mean? And that's what I've come to realize with it. And as much as I want to rush the process, just like hundreds of other people do, the slower you go with it and the more proper you digest what's in front of you, the more efficient that information you're going to actually retain, and the better it's going to be for you in the long run, right?
I hear a lot of people talk about like, oh man, I can't go to the gym because like I had to work at 8 and the gym closed at 10, or like I can't trade because I can't fucking wake up at 8 a.m. or whatever the case may be, right? And it's like you are here doing a 9 to 5, like a full-time job, and at the same time you are excelling like way above most of the members of our community, and you are eager to learn, and it's like you see it as a possible replacement to your 9 to 5. You know what I mean? A better lifestyle is what you're seeking. What would you advise to somebody who is just like naturally, maybe, subconsciously making those excuses for whatever the case may be, whether it's their lifestyle goals or even trading or whatever the case may be? Like, how would you say you can overcome those excuses that just like naturally come out?
You know, about 3 years ago, I was pursuing a different goal in my life, and I was in a different headspace, basically a completely different person. But I was still grinding for something, just like everybody else, grinding for our goals and passions. And it wasn't working out for me. I wasn't seeing results that I wanted. And I had a conversation with one of my coworkers at the time, right? And I'm like, dude, I put all this work into this, and I try to juggle it around work and everything else that I got going on, and my girlfriend at the time, and this and that, and da da da, and it's just not working out for me. Like it's just stupid. The system is dumb. Like I don't know why it doesn't work. And he's like, "Do you want me to be honest with you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, dude. Like, be honest with me. Like, why would I want you to lie in my face?" And he just looks at me. He goes, "Dude, the reality is you just don't want it enough." And I essentially I had like a nasty feeling to myself. I'm like, dude, like this guy's an idiot. Like he's messed up for that. Why would you just tell me that to my face? Like you're wrong. And now looking back on it years later, man, it's like, wow, that dude couldn't have been more real because that's just the reality of it. All of your idols and all of the people we look up to in this world, all of the celebrities, all of the people who've made history, hit huge milestones, you got to remember they have 24 hours in the day just like we do. What sets them apart? That's the reality. You know what I mean? If you can't go to the gym and this and that or da da da, oh, all this going on in my life. I earlier last year I had a good moment, a time where it was more beneficial for me, where I would actually get up at 4 a.m. to go to the gym and then go straight into my 9 to 5. So if you want it, the opportunity's there because guess what? If there's other people who could do it, you can too because we all run on the same time frame. We're all on 24 hours. It's just a matter of you working with the cards you're dealt. You may have harder cards than the next guy, but guess what? That's life. You know what I mean? The victim mindset doesn't help anybody. And the longer you choose to stay in it, the way longer it's going to take you to actually become successful and be that ideal person you want to be.
But it's so addictive, that victim mindset. Like it's insanely addictive. You seek it in everything. Like even you just said that you experienced it, where somebody commented and gave you a truthful fact, and your first reaction is like defensive. It's like, nah, dude,
Hmm.
you're wrong. That's actually not true. You know what I mean? And then you start convincing yourself and seeking that confirmation that like he's wrong and I'm right. And it comes with everything. I mean, even back to that environment thing, it's like if you are stuck on a decision on a Friday night whether you should read a book that you bought or go out with your friends, like you're gonna seek confirmation bias in whatever you really want. You know what I mean? If you are like self-convinced 100% that you want to improve yourself, you're probably gonna read that book. But if
Hmm.
not, you're gonna find an excuse. You're gonna be like, well, my friends are going out and my friends are like me and I'm like my friends, so I will go out too. You know what I mean? You're gonna confirmation bias the fuck out of your natural desire. But it's really where your desire is. And I think being self-conscious, which you seem to value a lot, is really
Seriously.
where like the key is, because if you're able to distinguish and spotlight when you are confirmation biasing, whatever the case may be, then you're really able to like seek the truth. And a lot of people are just afraid of the truth. They cover it up, right? It's like, I don't want to improve, or I don't want to go out to the party, but I will just because my friends are doing it. You know what I mean? That's where that truth is, and you're just putting it away. You're ignoring it. You're like, no, that's not what I want to do, you know? um yeah.
That's that delayed gratification, man. No one wants to chase it. And I had several years of an issue with that I just wanted instant gratification. But it's such a key to just be self-aware. Like if I were to give anybody just life advice in general, it's just know yourself, master your head, know your tendencies, know the good ones, know the bad ones, because one person's answer to the same issues may not be the same answer for you, right? So it's like when it comes to self-improvement and all that stuff, it takes time. And let me see. And I actually have what's it called, like I have like an issue, like, right? I want to read and all that stuff. I want to get into that. That's one of my little issues. I want to be able to read more. So, but what do? Right? We sit here on these all day, right?
Uh-huh.
All day. Any type of spare time, we jump on these, and it's like, oh man. So with phones being the plague that everybody knows them to be, what how did that go about for me? I was like, okay, I know I like to be on my phone a lot, so I need to find a fix to the problem, right? And my solution for me as an individual, once I figured out that was my problem, is hey, if I want to read and I want to get on my phone less, I went and I bought myself a timer, right? A physical timer.
Mhm.
Because if I'm going to put a timer on my phone, what's that involve me doing? Picking up my phone. And then that leads me to get sidetracked. There's all these other apps that are going to pull us in. So I would just advise everybody just learn yourself and patch the solutions in the best way that works for you, right? Now I got a little physical timer. I don't ever have to pick up my phone if I want to set a designated time to read. I sit there and I look at this, and once it goes off, boom, now I can grab my phone. But guess what? I put in the time towards my self-improvement for that delayed gratification, because what the phone isn't going to give me that the books will is that knowledge. And what does everybody say? Knowledge is power, right?
Yeah, bro. And you know what I noticed? I noticed that if you're able to consistently perform on this delayed gratification, you start looking at life different. Like I started seeing life in phases. I stopped like I quit all the drugs, I quit porn, I quit all of that. And about a few weeks in, like I started looking at life differently. I realized that like you have phases. You have a week where you have a certain interest and you kind of pursue that interest, and then the next week it's a totally different interest. But once you really dedicate yourself to that delayed gratification, you're able to zoom out and kind of see all of these weeks on their own in their own respective terms instead of living within like a day or 2 days. It's like, oh fuck, yesterday I drank and today I'm not gonna drink, so that's a 1 day streak. Like so many people fall victim to that.
Hmm.
And even with reading, like I picked up reading only because I incorporated it into my routine. I used to read a lot and then I kind of stopped because of like work, and I would be on my phone, like you said, right? Instead, just fucking scrolling through reels. And then I
Dude,
look and it's like an
seriously.
hour and a half just gone. Like, where the fuck did
It's
my time go? And then I feel
crazy. It's
so
crazy
bad
how it
about
goes.
myself. I feel awful about myself every single time that happens. But the second I incorporated reading into my routine, and it was so hard, like the first 5 days to like fucking pick up that book and start reading. But then once it's in your routine, like you kind of feel bad for not doing it. You want to incorporate that self guilt. Like I personally suffer from it a lot. If I do something that I shouldn't have done, I'm so guilty. I feel so guilty in front of myself. It's unbelievable. But once you incorporate it into your routine and it's there, you feel guilty about not doing something good. And that's what you want.
Hmm.
You want that guilt. You can make that guilt play for you instead of against you. You know
Yep.
what I mean? What types of books would you like to read though? Like, what are you primarily interested in reading?
Honestly, anything self-improvement related. So I'm just me as a person, I have my own belief that this world and this life is meant for us to give it our best so that we can enjoy things, right? Because you only get one life. That's my belief that we're put on this earth to give our best effort in what we can in order to enjoy ourselves to the most, right? So and I feel like that comes with mastering yourself. Once you master yourself, you're able to pursue any endeavor and be able to come out on top, right? So we can all reap those rewards and get to the outcome. But I would recommend anything that is self-improvement
Dude,
focused.
I was gonna talk about it. I was gonna tell you. Do you know Atomic Habits? Do you know
Yeah,
about it?
reading
And
it
there it
now.
is.
Reading it
Uh,
now. Yeah.
how do you
Super
like it?
good, man. It's
Yeah, it's
great.
good,
It's
right?
great. And that's the thing. It takes me back to when you were talking about the perspectives, or not the perspective, but just like on being on the island and all that stuff, because we as human beings, our perspectives come from our past, right? And how our brain has been shaped due to our past. So due to the fact that everyone goes through different experiences in life, that's why you need to have interactions with other individuals in any way, because we need access to their perspective that we don't have access to no matter how hard we think. Because I can't see the same glass in the way that you can, because you went through different experiences in life that I didn't. So while I may be stuck in this box looking at it this way, you may be up here looking at it a completely different way, and I need access to that viewpoint in order for me to move forward sometimes. So that's why it's definitely beneficial, like you said, to just interact with other people. Whether that's, it doesn't even have to be in person; it could just be online. You know what I mean? And if interacting with people kind of, or interacting with friends just kind of skews you away from your main goals, then you stay on track, right? I literally have no people I hang out. I have one friend that's a girl, and I keep her around as a good friend because she has positive energy and she pushes. You know what I'm saying? She motivates and all that stuff. That's my one friend that I have. Other than that, I literally don't go out. I literally don't even go out to hang out with this girl. I just like to have somebody around to push and motivate and just check in with every now and then. You know what I mean? Because I'll call her up. I'm like, hey, hope everything's going good with you. How's your business? I hope everything goes well with you. You got great blessings coming your way. And I just wanted to let you know, like, hey, keep pushing all that stuff. And you know what you do when you be a good person like that? You get it back. So that's why I like to just be a good light in that aspect, because good things do come back to you. And if it's not working for you, cut it out, right? I literally have no
Yeah.
real friends to hang out with, but am I crying in the corner about it? Nah, because I'm sitting here focused on trading, and I know all of my time is devoted to the things that matter. And when I'm burned out, or when I feel like I've done enough work, maybe I'll just jump on a game or two with the boys, right, online. It's no big deal, but as long as you're putting in that time every single day, or at least a couple times a week, it's all about the consistency. One person's every single day, maybe another person's 5+ hours 3 times a week, right? As long as it's consistent over a long period of time, that's what really matters, right? Because me personally, I've always hated starting new things purely due to the fact that I hate being a beginner. I'm a very like extreme person. My family will tell you that. Like I literally think of everything to extremes. So it's like, damn, why am I gonna start this if I'm just gonna be a beginner and not know anything? I literally like I mentally want to skip to the advanced part so fast. Like when it comes to anything. When it comes to fitness, when it comes to learning, I'm like, I hate being a beginner. I just want to understand. I want to excel. I want to be advanced already. So, and the only way to get there is to do it right and do it over a long period of time, right? Because all of the advanced people, what do you say? Like, all we got Olympic gymnasts, we have like super professional bodybuilders. I guarantee you, none of them have only been doing it for 1 or 2 years, right?
No.
I mean, that's when you first think you're like, okay, 2 years. This is something I'm gonna keep doing. This might be it. This might be it. But once you actually dive in there and you're in and you're considered advanced, you're like, yeah, dude, I've been doing something for 4 plus years. I've been on it. I've been learning for 4 plus years. Somebody who just says they've been doing something for 4 plus years versus learning it, that's like, damn, dude, if you're still consuming knowledge after 4 plus years, that's crazy to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And back to the phases, it's like if you're able to survive all of those different interests and all of those different phases that you go through, like you're kind of proving to yourself that like, hey, this is
Mm.
kind of probably it. This is what actually interests me. And a lot of people nowadays, like, I ask them because my opinion is like the best way to build a business is to build it out of your hobby. And whenever I ask people, it's like, what's your hobby? It's like, oh, I don't know. Or it's like this girl gave me an answer once, like, what's your hobby? Oh, TikTok. That's my fucking hobby. And it's not like creating on TikTok, mind you. It's just scrolling through TikTok. That's her
Yeah,
hobby. And it's like, the conversation was literally like about what do you do? And it was just kind of scroll through TikTok. And a lot of people I feel like feel that. And it's not nothing to be ashamed of, but it's definitely something you should recognize. It's
yeah.
something that you should be aware of. You know what I mean? Because if you're not, then you're lying to yourself. And again, you're trying to cover it up. But, kind of to what we were talking about, bro, about, you are very focused on self-improvement to the point where it's almost like a lifestyle. It's not like a hobby or so, it's literally a lifestyle for you, I feel like, right? Because every day that's something you keep at the very front line of your mind, and it's like, whatever the task may be at hand, it's like, is it going to help me improve? Is it going to help me become better? And a lot of people would argue that, especially at a younger age. You're 24, and that's considered very young. A lot of people your age are out there partying, clubbing, having sex, fucking traveling all over the world, and whatever the case may be. But you're here grinding, okay?
Yep.
And what they would say, it's like, oh, you're wasting your youth. It's like
Yep.
they're trying to create this FOMO, right? That like, hey, everybody's partying, but you're over here in your fucking little room. Whatever the fuck you're doing, it's bullshit. You should be partying. You should be like everyone else. And so many people fall victim to that, and that's why they don't end up grinding. But at the end of the day, they may want to, right? What would you answer that like with? What would you say to that if somebody told you that?
Oh man, so I actually what's it called? I lost a friend to that like last year, towards the end of last year. I told you guys about that too. It just kind of sets you off in a sense because you're growing mentally and they're not, you know what I'm saying? So those are the same people. I like to look at it as, they're gonna hit a point in their life where they're capped. You know what I'm saying? Their time will have passed to put in all that work. Now, then they're gonna start feeding themselves lies, the victim mindset. Oh, I'm getting close to 30 now. I'm 28, 29. I'm 30. I need to be settling down. I need to be doing this and that. I had my fun. Now it's time to just chill and stuff. But I mean, you use these years to grind. If I just give 2 years to just putting in the grind versus all these people who are just spending all of their 20s grinding, then or not grinding, spending their 20s just having fun, partying this and that, then after all of that, I'll be able to have access to 10 times more fun than they'll ever have imagined. You know what I mean? Because the reward that comes with mastering a skill set or just constantly pursuing it, I feel like is money, right? I mean, you get the mastery and you get money. That's the great thing about our society nowadays, that it doesn't matter what you do, right? Any hobby you have, find a way to monetize it or publicize it, right? When it comes to online and social media and all that stuff, and there's an audience for that. You know what I mean? And if you don't want to be public, there's things like trading where you can literally just sit there with the data face to face for over a year, over 2 years, as long as you want, and you'll keep improving, and the rewards will come back tenfold, more and more and more and more. The more consistent you are with it, right? The more confident and the more successful you are at it. So
One hundred
I would
percent,
just
bro.
I would just tell people like that, like just if I don't shame nobody, you know what I'm saying? Face to face, I'm gonna tell them like, hey, if that's what you want to do truly at this given moment in time, that's cool. That's you. Then it just goes to show me you're not somebody I need in my life at this time. I heard somebody look at life in, or I was scrolling through social media one time, and I heard somebody look at life through this lens. They're like, dude, you got to be doing things in life that are going to give you a positive ROI, right? So I'm like, damn. That makes a lot of sense. What does the gym give you? High ROI, right? High return on investment. So if you look at it like that, like, okay, I'm getting ready to go out for a night with the boys and go drinking. What ROI does that have? Zero. What are you gonna get? Temporary. You're gonna get some temporary satisfaction for a very few hours, and then you're just gonna poison your liver for a couple hours, and then you're gonna go back inside, and you're gonna be like, man, what a great night. Then you're gonna wake up tomorrow. Oh, I'm hungover, and then that's gonna be extra emphasis on the victim mindset. Oh, I'm hungover, so I'm not gonna go to the gym. Oh, I'm hungover, so I'm not gonna do this and that. And then you eat those days out of your life, and then you stack them up throughout a whole year. And because we don't have like a statistical counter at the end of every year, man, no one really knows how much time they're burning on stupid things like that. You know what I mean? So it just always hits people like that in the end, like in the 30s or the 40s. Once we're hitting like our unk years or our older years, it's like, damn, I should have done this or I should have done that. I mean, we are everybody in this world has regrets, right? You have regrets, I have regrets, and they weigh. The more years pass, they weigh, because it's like, damn, it's been this many years, this many years, this many years, and I didn't make that move that I should have made. So I just try to look at life from the lens of I'm trying to grow with as least regrets as possible. You know what I mean? Because the regret of not doing something weighs so much more in comparison to the other. So living with that is just not fun for anybody, right? Having to look back on something you weren't able to achieve, or you weren't able to accomplish, or just not putting your time into something that mattered. So I
Well,
just think for
listen, it
Mhm.
only matters if you make it matter. You know what I mean? And I've drilled it into my mind that regardless of how horrible, of how terrible, of how much regret I may attribute to something, regardless of it, whatever happened, happened for the very, very best of my personal well-being. You know what I mean? Like somebody could have died. God forbid it's one of your family members. God forbid somebody hurt you. You got, somebody murdering someone in your family or whatever the case may be. You lost all your money. It's all for the greater good of yourself. Every single time one door closes, two doors open in front of you. You know what I mean? And it's up to you to make it out of that. I think that with every lower low comes a higher high. I'm gonna put it that way. That's
He's
my
talking.
motto. I'm telling you, bro. I would put that shit in
Yeah,
my Instagram bio today. With every lower low comes a higher high. Whenever you have life fuck you, you're gonna get rewarded threefold if you're able to survive it.
yeah,
Because think about it,
yeah,
right? It's all testing, and it's kind of like we're getting a little religious here, but if you are able to survive fuckery, then you're just gonna perform so much better when you're successful. If you want $1 million, you best bet you're gonna get tested before you get there. Because if you're just handed it, you're gonna do fuck shit. You're gonna do stupid. You're not gonna know
yeah,
what to do with it.
exactly.
And if you really want to live life to the fullest, like you're going to be tested. And the tests are only there to make you better. If you keep looking at it like, oh, every time I get fucked, like I just get sadder and like life doesn't like me and I have this black line of bad luck or whatever the case, then that's how it's going to be. Then that's how your life's going to turn out. But if you're able to pull out those negatives into the positives, dude, you're going to be well off for the rest of your life, I think. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Angel, what do you think Aurora Academy will become in 2 years?
Well, with time and in 2 years, I notice you yourself are very dedicated to the project and stuff and growing. And Ivan puts in his time on the TikTok and the marketing and all that stuff. I think honestly, like, this is like no bias, but this is me being realistic. But keep in mind, like, Aurora was the only Discord that I went straight into, the only one I jumped head first. I didn't really try anything else out. I just came straight in. And to me, I think it can be the best community, the best trading community, just because the culture in there is so good. Like, I feel like everyone is seriously tries to apply themselves, right? For the most part, a good majority of the constant community, the same names that I see on a regular basis, everyone is applying themselves and trying to grow themselves, and that's the culture that we need. We need the culture of, everyone looking to improve their own selves. You use Ivan as he is a mentor, right? He's not here to hold your hand and babysit you through the whole step of the way. You're not here to ask Ivan what A through Z is. You're here to ask these experienced traders and ask people who are in it, how the system works, what do you need to learn, and then you grab that information and you learn it on your own, right? Whether that be the tools we have in Aurora, or you go to Discord, right? But the Aurora Discord, the videos, the ground zero videos, they go very well in depth about just Ivan's strategy, right? So when it comes to wanting to not waste time, like we all don't want to waste time, right? And we want to learn and be efficient. If you're in the Discord to learn about Ivan's strategy, then go to the Ground Zero chat and you have all of the videos there, right? You have your tools and you jump right into them and you learn it. And I feel like with access to that and just better content that's going to come, better things that will come, more evolution for the server, and just growth in general. I feel like it can actually be one of the best, if not the best, trading Discord there is. I mean, the community is just phenomenal, man. Like everybody's really in there to learn. Like I'm seeing, you know, a lot of I feel like trading is one of those things you see a lot more men do. I'm seeing a lot more women in the Discord too, man, and that is
Yeah.
amazing. That's amazing to see, dude. I'm like, wow, dude, there's women in here actually like putting in work trying to learn too. Like that's great. I want to see more women too. Like that way we get a more diverse space. It's great, man. Not like seriously though, like you know what I mean? Like it's great. I want to see
Absolutely.
everybody doing it, man.
Yeah.
Everybody. Like I want to see somebody with disabilities in there. Do some I want to see deaf people trading. I want to see like everybody in there to just learn because that's what's great about it. Everybody has access to it, man. Everybody. It doesn't matter what you got going on. Everybody has access, man. So I'm very happy to see like we got all these like-minded individuals in there. I see people putting in the work every single day. I'm not the best trader, but people still come to me for advice and I give advice where I can, you know. I'm very transparent to the fact that like, hey, what I don't know, because I'm still learning too, what I don't know, you go to this guy. Or I would advise you go to this person. I know they're good with this strategy. They're pretty good with these levels. Go to them for that. I point people in the right direction, and I give them advice where I can. But that's how I want the Aurora to grow with that attitude. I want us to be no BS, man, because there's too much bullshit going on in the community. I noticed in the trading community, so many people just they do nothing but flash the pretty stuff that they got and talk about this and that and grow the ego and want to talk down on others about, oh yeah, what are you guys doing, this and that, oh gambling, whatever, da da da, like you guys aren't doing it right, this and that. And it's like we don't need that. Aurora's no place for that, you know what I mean? We're here to be very forgiving to people's mistakes and put people on the right path, give them the right tools, and whether they choose to use it or not, it's up to them.
Yeah.
And I feel like with access to that, it's up to you how far you want to go. Because I mean, with that access to that many tools and that many individuals that are actually willing to help you, man, like it's that I feel like that's pretty rare. You know what I mean? Being because a lot of places you'll go, you'll get shot down for asking certain things, or some people might feel embarrassed for asking certain questions, and we don't want that. I feel like Aurora has a welcoming space. I feel like it's a welcoming space for a lot of individuals, especially beginners that come in. Me when I first joined and all that stuff, people were very welcoming to me. So I try to return that. And all of the newcomers that are entering and all that stuff, I feed that back to them, man. I'm like, hey, you got this going on. I'll help you with this. We have all of this information. Any questions you got, you can shoot it to me or the other staff team and stuff. So I feel like it's definitely on the come up, man. It's just gonna be a matter of time.
Hell yeah. Angel, listen, I greatly appreciate your time, brother. It's been a pleasure to speak with you. You are always bringing value to the community, bringing value to me personally. I love to hear how motivated, how dedicated you are, and I really look forward to everything we can achieve together.
For sure, man. Hey, we got it, dude. And everybody that is watching this, whether that be Aurora or just aspiring traders on YouTube, I'd just like to remind everybody that we will have our bad days. We will have days that are worse than the last. I had a recent worst day about like a couple of days ago, and for the first time, I was rethinking everything for like an hour or two. I was like, is this really what I want to do? But I would like to remind everybody that like if you're feeling down, if you feel like, damn, if you're going through those thoughts too, you always got a place coming to Raza in the Discord, bro. I am here to chat with anyone and everyone that is going through anything psychology related or needs any advice on literally anything. It doesn't even have to be trading. And because we're all going to make it together, man. That's it. We're all going to make it together, no matter how long it takes. One guy may make it in 6 months, the other guy may make it in 1 year. But guess what? The end goal is that we all make it at some point, man. So deal with the cards we're dealt, and we're going to make it. That's it.